All right. Thank you all for being here today. We do appreciate your time and participation. I almost think we sent out the wrong link, but that being what it is, we're going to go through our scripts, dialogues, and debates as we do every Friday. So that's the plan for today. I do have a new chapter from the book to share with you guys today. But as we have been discussing in previous sessions, I want to start things off with LP Mama because it's just freaking awesome. So, and I want to give you an example of how you can continue to implement this in your daily dialogue. So we have a black screen. I'm waiting for my screen to come up, and then we'll talk through one of the examples. And I think I have Michael Anderson's brand new listing up here as an example to talk through. This is a very nice home. And this should be a good model for us. Flounder. Nope. You get what you get. All right, cool. Rude. He knew I was going to call on it, so he bailed. All right, guys. So we'll start with LP Mama because it's the perfect all-purpose daily dialogue script when you're talking to a potential buyer or seller. It really is. And to give you an example, I happened to be over at the Smithfield office a couple of days ago, and the phone rang, and I grabbed it, and it was somebody calling about a property, right? And so immediately I started thinking, oh shit, I'm not even logged in, right? And so you've got to figure out, okay, how can I not sound crazy while I'm talking to this person? And having this list of questions in your mind and in front of you is a really good way to do that, because she gave me the address of the property. It was a Smithfield property, and I recognized that it was a Smithfield property. I said, so Smithfield, is that where you want to be, or would you be open to looking at other places, maybe Carrollton or Windsor or Southampton or what have you? And she said, well, we're pretty committed to being in the Smithfield school system if we can be. I said, okay, no problem. Let me get logged in to the system, right? Whether you're logged in or not logged in, you want to say, let me get logged into the system, because that buys you some time to continue the conversation. So even if you have the answer to their question right there in front of you, and you know this house is already gone, right? You don't want to just end the conversation. You want to continue the conversation. You want to continue to create dialogue. And so as you're talking about, let me get logged in and I'll see what I can find out about this specific property, you might say, why is it that you're thinking about moving now? Are you in a lease right now? Do you have a home to sell? So these questions might fall under the category of what's your motivation, right? You could also say, are you just starting to look at properties, or have you already been out to see properties with an agent, right? Because that's important information that we need to know. So I think that's a really, really good talking point to go ahead and get it out of the way up front. And by this time now, okay, I'm ready to answer your question. And, obviously the home was already under contract. And she wasn't surprised at all. And she said, would you mind checking another one for me? And I said, yeah, I'd be happy to. Absolutely. What's the address? And so then we had this little bit of a back and forth. And I asked her, I said, so, you guys are looking at this $300,000 home. Have you already talked to a mortgage company? No, not yet. Right. And so this was the gist of the conversation. And so ultimately I ended up turning that over to another agent as a lead while I was sitting there. But it's these six talking points that I think are your perfect recipe to continue the conversation. So it's location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment, right? You always want to close with the appointment. So Most of the time for me, I would try to say, when would you like to see the home? If it's available. Or what I think is an even better idea is, when can we get together and talk through the process and strategy of buying a home in today's hyper competitive market? That is something that I think we all fall short on as a rule, because we're so eager, most of us who are talking to a new person on the phone, we're so eager to go out there and show them the house, that we don't pause for a second and say, the best way for me to move this person forward is to have that buyer consultation and meet with them for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and talk them through, what it's like to buy a house in today's market, and what's the strategy that we might want to implement. First and foremost is being pre-qualified. Even over and above that, though, they could be pre-approved, right? So maybe they could take advantage of the Buyer's Advantage program, because if they have time, if it's going to take you 2 weeks to find them a house, which it most likely will, they have time to go all the way through underwriting and get the Buyer's Advantage approval, which, when you're writing an offer for them, is a hell of a lot stronger than just a pre-approval letter. And you can explain that to the listing agent, because they've already been through underwriting, their income, their assets, their DTI, everything's been verified, checked off. The only thing we're waiting for really is them to find a house and get an appraisal. So that's the Buyer's Advantage program that Prosperity offers. And so if you have time, I would recommend that you do that, but you can't explain that to them over the phone. It's best presented in that in-person buyer consultation. And I would encourage everybody to have this dialogue, whether it's a buyer guide that we provide, and have a presentation that you can share with someone to walk them through the process.
Yes, and most of the time we think that we're going to be able to have that conversation while we're showing them the house. Or
exactly. That's and honestly, that's what I've always done. I love the idea of that in-person buyer consultation, but I very, very rarely ever pushed it. I was the guy to, I'll meet you there in 15 minutes. I jump in my car, I'm gone. I have no idea if they're qualified. I have no idea who these people are. It's a little bit sketchy to work that way, but that's what I did. But I think the smarter way to work is, when can we meet for a half an hour to talk through some strategies about buying a home in today's hyper-competitive market?
Now, in today's competitive market, if you have that half-hour conversation, you'd be under contract.
It may very well be. It may very well be. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know, but that's the way I was, have them come into the office and sit down and talk to them, and talk about their qualifications and try to get them set up with the mortgage guy.
And there's it's very unfortunate, but there is a negative stereotype when it comes to real estate agents. We're just 1 or 2 ticks above used car salespeople in the minds of general public. And so bringing them into an environment gives you, I think, a more professional image. It makes you look more professional. Your doctor doesn't necessarily make house calls anymore, and neither does your attorney. Right. And so should we necessarily, as realtors, then run out to meet someone at a whim? I'll be there in 15 minutes. I think it does us a disservice in the long run as an industry. It's a deal either. Right. So you got to find that sweet spot, and every client's going to be different. I've done buyer consultations through Zoom like this, and I think that's really smart.
I think so too. I remember in all of the houses that we bought, 3 houses, especially because I was in Florida for this past house. It was like we didn't have the availability, but nobody ever mentioned Zoom. But that was
Right.
also pre.
That's right. That's right.
So that is a really good mention. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it would be. I think I personally would be a lot more apt to say, I was so busy, I didn't have 30 minutes to run over here. Plus, I didn't even know where I was going because we were just coming here from Florida. It was brand new. But a Zoom call like that.
Zoom is super smart, super useful. I've used it to meet clients for the first time and go through this strategy session with them. And I would encourage you to use the word strategy, because that's what it takes in today's market, is a strategy. And I've also used Zoom to present paperwork and go through an entire purchase offer and explain that to them via Zoom and then send it to them for electronic signatures.
How nice, they're in their own home, they're comfortable.
Yeah.
I just think that that's super smart.
Yeah, and I think the clients really appreciate it too, because you can do this at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And it's a hell of a lot more convenient for you and them after they got the baby down to sleep, and the dogs are quiet. We can sit and review this paperwork together. It takes us about half an hour.
Can you do a video going through the purchase agreement? Not specifically doing it
Right.
live,
Yeah.
but record a video going through the different paperwork and that you can put in like a packet or email packet.
You totally could. And if you wanted to take that one step further, it could be an incredibly powerful marketing tool, right? You could do a video of yourself, and maybe the title is what to expect when writing an offer, or what to expect when buying a home, and section 1 is, let me share with you the paperwork that you're most likely to encounter when purchasing a home. And you can do a screen record, of yourself going through the paperwork on Zoom, a one-person meeting. You're in there by yourself, and you're just talking through the bullet points found in our standard purchase agreement. That's really smart. And then you could market that to the public, put it on your YouTube channel, put it on social media, what have you.
They
It's a
should
really
used to
good
have a
idea.
class on how to do Zoom.
So I do have one suggestion though. I guess I should do the videos. When you do that for the contract, if you're showing them, have a watermark across it. That way, if they try to copy and paste it, you at least have, because there's ways to.
We're not allowed to give away the paperwork, and we
Right.
don't want to put it, we don't want to make it in such a way that it could
It's
be duplicated.
accessible, so make
Right.
sure that
And
you
that
do have
sample,
that, yep.
Yeah,
Make sure it
it's a
says
good idea.
something along those lines, when you do those videos or you send it out for somebody to read beforehand, make sure it has that watermark on it.
Now, can you fill out a contract live and have it, recorded or on Zoom with the watermark on it?
You probably have to pre-install the watermark if that was your intention.
Correct.
Maybe using something like Canva, for example, and just overlay the word sample over the page, or something along those lines.
See,
Because I know there's
all that.
there used to be a button
I have
where you could
access
click
to, I'm sure they
and it
use
would
same
put the
exact contracts.
watermark sample on
Yeah,
it.
they don't.
But I'm trying to
we
think,
do
like,
have
if I
our
did a
own,
video
right?
like that, should I fill it out as I go through to show, or just hit the paragraphs?
I would just hit the pair.
I think I would hit the paragraphs, otherwise it's gonna get really long. Yeah, I think it's,
Especially since you don't have a specific property to put on it.
yeah, if you're just gonna talk through the bullet points in the paragraphs, I think you could do it in less than 10 minutes. If you're gonna fill it out, it's gonna take you at least 20.
You could even take snippets.
Yeah.
Of the
Break it up. What's
contracts.
paragraph 13?
Yeah.
What's paragraph 20?
Maybe the more confusing parts.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't have to.
You can
like,
break it up
address
into-
this and
Yes.
this, right?
You could have your main, and then you could break it up into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start over.
No. You can rewatch this.
That was really friggin' smart, dude. You totally missed
Listen,
it.
listen, you can rewatch this in the TGIF every Friday.
That's right.
Jason puts that
That's right.
On our YouTube page. I feel like a commercial.
That's right. All right, so let's talk through the LP Mama script using a real-life example. So we've got this property here. Yep, so we've got this brand new listing. Congratulations, Mr. Michael Anderson. This is a beautiful home. So really, really happy and proud of you for getting this thing pulled together so quick. So 5110 James Street, Chesapeake, Virginia. Somebody's going to sell that house today. We know. But let's just pretend, for example, that the phone rings and we get a call and they're saying, "Yeah, I'm calling about that house on James Street. What might your response be?" Well, it might be, "Okay, give me just a minute. I'll sit down at the computer and log in." What city was that in, by the way? It was in Chesapeake. Okay, Chesapeake. Chesapeake, are you pretty committed to living in that part of Chesapeake, or are you open to looking maybe in the surrounding cities? No, I'm pretty committed to Chesapeake. Fantastic. All right. Do you remember how much that house cost? And you're asking the client now. Do you remember how much that house cost? He said, yeah, I saw it on Zillow for $328,000. Ah, cool. So $328,000. Is that what you've been approved for? Right? Or can you go up or down a little bit? Maybe more comfortable for you, right? And he says, yeah, 328 is fine. We've been approved for 350 by our bank, right? And then maybe you say, well, what's got you thinking about moving right now? Well, I'm looking for this information. Well, we're in a rental and we're gonna have to be out by, the end of April. And so we're thinking now would be a good time to buy. Absolutely. It really is a good time to buy. Interest rates they're moving up, but they're still historically low. So have you guys started looking at homes yet with an agent, or are you just getting started? Well, we're just getting started. Perfect. And I know you said that you had been pre-approved for 350 by your bank. Which bank was that? That was Navy Federal Credit Union. Oh, they really suck. You should consider getting a second opinion, right? So maybe you don't say that. And maybe we should bleep that part out of the video so that they don't ever see that. So, right? Perfect. So you have talked to Navy Federal Credit Union. They've approved you for 350, and you said you got to be moved by the end of April, and you're just getting started. So, is there? I've got the information pulled up in front of me now. It does look like it's still available, but as you know, in this hyper-competitive market, it won't be on the market very long. Is there a time when we can meet and talk through strategies around buying in today's market? So that's what we were talking about a few minutes ago. Or, is there a time that I can meet you at the property and we'll take a look at this together? Right. And so we're closing then with the appointment, right? So we went through the LPMAMA, right? And it doesn't have to take that long. And what we do is, even if we have the information, this is what you missed, even if we have the information in front of us, we don't tell them necessarily the answer to their question, because we want to continue the conversation. We want to get through our questions, and we want to try to build some rapport and some sense of dialogue with these people so that we can actually get that appointment. And if you just tell them, yes, it's available, you don't know where it's going to go from there. They could say, okay, great, I'm going to call my agent, or
Right.
whatever.
So the idea is the more you engage in the conversation, you make them talk to you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you're strengthening your bond, your rapport, your relationship with them over the phone. And so I think this is the perfect script to do that with. And it could be just about, there's so many circumstances where these questions will apply. I just think it's really, really important that we not forget about this acronym and how it can benefit you going forward for the rest of your life. It's all about questions. You ask questions is in control, right? And so we need to have a predetermined set of questions to ask.
I have a quick question. No pun intended.
She's taking control.
When exactly on here, because of the training that I took in the CD shop, we wanted to ask pretty early on if they were already working with the agent. So when do you let that happen organically as you're going through these questions?
It would be organic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't ever want to be in a position where you're, giving someone the impression that you're not allowed to talk to them if they've spoken to another agent, right? So the law says that prior to substantive discussion about a specific property, we have to have a buyer's representation agreement signed. But that I think it's a good idea to ask them, are you just getting started, or have you worked with an agent to see other properties? I think it's a brilliant question. And I think anywhere in that dialogue is appropriate. So maybe even at the very end.
Also, if they have been working with another agent that they haven't signed with them.
That's right.
Just to say they won't follow them.
That's right.
In this conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Just because they do have, or say they have an agent, doesn't necessarily mean that they're committed. They may have spoken to another agent in reality, but maybe they're not completely committed to that other agent. Maybe the other agent said, I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. and they don't have a relationship with this person. The person opened the door for them, let them see the house. And while they've technically worked with another agent, they don't have a relationship with another agent that they're committed to.
Or would they be calling if they had an agent, because wouldn't their agent be?
You're gonna find both.
Okay.
So you're gonna find people, just like your example this morning. The guy said, or the lady said, "Oh, I'm not gonna bother my agent with this. I thought I would just call and find out for myself." You know, that's crap. Yeah, yeah. And so you call your agent. You know, so most of the time we're gonna answer their question. We're gonna be professional and we're gonna be courteous. But we're thinking to ourselves, "This is bullshit." You know, call your agent because that's what they get paid for. Yeah.
But, and you never know, just by being nice to them, it might lead to a referral down the line.
It could very well. It could very well, because you don't know how strongly they're connected to that other agent. Maybe they don't like them. You know,
Or maybe they're coming to a close, maybe it's gonna expire.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
I was shocked. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I sold my house and, it's under contract. They want to close in 30 days, so I got to find a place." I'm like, "How about your agent?"
Right.
Well, I don't want to bother her with that. Like, what?
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to me like if I was the listing agent and I have this person's home under contract and they need to move somewhere,
Right.
that they would come to me
Yeah.
to help them find a place to move, or that I would be involved in that
Already.
process. If nothing else, I would get a referral fee out of it for referring them to a buyer's agent.
Man, it's just a rental, she's trying to rent for 2 years, but I'm like, now, if I were selling your house, I would make sure that you,
Absolutely,
Had a place to go.
absolutely, yeah, so,
the other thing I like about this, I just thought about it. When you have this conversation, it helps you determine whether or not it's somebody that you want to work with.
good point.
Because a lot of us think we're obligated to work with everybody that calls us, and you're really not.
You're not, that's right, that's right. We get to pick and choose our clients. It's one of the many blessings of this business. And so I think the better we get at, determining upfront who we do and who we don't want to work with, we can save ourselves a lot of headaches. We've all had those, really, really tough clients. We've all had fantastic clients. So sometimes we don't know until it's too late. I mean, that's definitely happened to me. God in heaven, what happened? So I thought they were nice. They're just crazy as hell. So that is the LP Mama script. I strongly encourage you guys to memorize this and begin asking these questions every single time you pick up the phone. It's really, really important.
Where's that, out Western Branch?
Yes. Yep, Western Branch. So I'm sure Mike's phone is blowing up because it's a really pretty house. Looks like it's clean, it's vacant. So I suspect he's very busy today.
You gonna do an open house over there, Randall?
Yeah, why aren't we having an open house there this weekend?
I have a funeral tomorrow.
Oh, sorry.
I think I want to be off on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, good.
No, I ain't having one on the 27th.
It's another,
Eagles.
okay.
Or it could even be one that you do a video tour of it,
Totally.
post it on social media.
Yeah, we can all go over there today and do individual walkthrough videos and begin to promote this property on social media. Even though by the time someone sees our video tomorrow, the day after, or next week, the house is gone.
Yeah.
It's still an opportunity for us to connect with a new person that doesn't know us yet.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be a good idea. Get everybody that wants to, when a new listing comes up,
Yeah.
go and do video tours and to practice and get
Yeah.
familiar doing it.
We just need a van. Road trip. Cool. All right, let's move on from this and we're going to jump into our new script for today. Let's see. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can see this. Go. Okay. Cool. Let me
That's big, I can see it.
let me tinker with the size a little bit. Is it too big?
No,
No.
It's not too big.
I'm still straining.
Oh God. Oh man, getting old sucks, don't it? So
This is from Stump's book.
yes, this is from Stump's book. This is page 110. So this is the book that we've been talking about now for a couple of weeks, Referral Mastery. I have placed a call to order several more books, and they called me back yesterday. She's trying to get me a discount code for that. So hopefully I'll have more books here that you guys can check out. But today, specifically, I wanted to talk about exact way to ask number 6. And so this, and why I thought this was relevant is because it ties right into our prospecting class that we had a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about an elevator pitch, or what to say when someone says, how's the business, or how's the market? And so, that is probably going to be one of the most common questions you get as a real estate agent. After you answer the question, oh, what do you do? They're going to say, how's the market? Or if they know what you do, how's the market? Every time I go anywhere and see somebody that I haven't seen for 24 hours, they say, how's the market? It's just, that just comes natural. And so you should have a plan on how to answer that question. And this is Joe Stump's plan for answering that question. And he says it results in a closed transaction 20% of the time. So here's what the answer to how's business or how's the market should look like. So obviously you're going to internalize this, you're going to memorize this, and then you're going to put your own spin and your own flavor on this. But this is the way he did it. Things are going well. Isn't it nice to know that I have time for you, your family, your friends, or anyone else you know and like who could use my help right now? I'm curious. Who do you know who would love to own their own home? Because when you introduce them to me, they can better understand what their best options are in today's marketplace. So to me, that comes off as a little wordy, right? If somebody asks you, how's the market? They're expecting you to say, good, done. They're expecting you to let it die at, oh, it's great, and I think the dialogue that we spoke about in our prospecting class a couple of weeks ago was, well, it depends, because if you're a buyer, the market is incredibly difficult right now. But if you're thinking of selling, the market is fantastic, with super low inventory and interest rates being low, the buyers are fighting one another over the purchase of every home we can possibly list. So are you thinking about buying or selling? Right? That's ultimately what's going to determine for you, how's the market? So in this example, Joe has a little different spin on it. It's a little more wordy, but the concept is similar. And so I would encourage you to give some thought to how you might edit or tweak this and put it in your own words. So how's business or how's the market? Things are going well. And isn't it nice to know that I have time for you, your family, your friends, or anyone else you care about? I'm curious, who do you know that would love to own their own home right now? Because when you introduce them to me, they can better understand what their options are in today's hyper-competitive market. Something like that, right? So you're going to ad-lib it, you're going to personalize it, you're going to tweak it and make it fit with the way that you speak. So Joe goes on to say, I love this script. This is one of the first dialogues I started to work with that got things into casual conversation, as you'll come across frequently when people say, how's business or how's the market? A good thought to remember is to be neutral in your voice tone. Move away from, oh, it's great, which sounds like I don't need you, or unbelievable, which is ambiguous, right? What you're attempting to do is move the conversation. So when somebody asks you, how's business, ask yourself, do I choose to have a conversation now, or do I choose to disengage because I could use this as an opening or as a close? So how's business? Oh, fabulous. We're doing great right now. End of conversation, right? And I think that's what most people expect. That's where most of us would expect someone to answer the question. Oh, it's great. We're doing good. Yeah, thanks for asking. Have a nice day. You know, and so I think we can take it to the next level to continue the conversation. Well, it's going good, or it's going well. And isn't it nice to know that I have time for you and your family, your friends, or people you care about? I'm curious, who do you know that would love to own their own home? Or maybe you know someone who would love to take advantage of this market and maybe purchase a foreclosure for the first time investment property, which I'm going to come back to. And you could introduce them to me so they can better understand what their options are right now in this stupid, crazy, busy market. This is something that I think all too often is overlooked, is the idea of encouraging people to invest in real estate. A lot of people don't think to themselves that they could own an investment property, and probably they could. It's been proven for 100 years. It's the smartest investment that most of us will ever be able to make, unless we get in on the ground floor of crypto or, Tesla or something like that, right? So real estate is an important, I think, investment vehicle for most people to grow their personal wealth. And I think it's something that we don't talk about as real estate agents enough. We should be encouraging people to investigate and get the facts about owning an investment property. Put a tenant in it, sign it up with a property management company. With rents being what they are today, I mean, it's immediate cash flow. And who knows, it could be the college tuition for your kid or your grandkid, 20 years from now. So investment properties are a really good option that we don't talk about enough.
Residual income so you can retire early.
Right.
Amen. Amen. It's a wonderful way to step into asking for a referral. When somebody asks you how the business and you think they're going to talk about business, but you end up talking about who they could introduce you to. Close your eyes for a minute and just ask yourself, when's the last time somebody asked you how's business or how business was? And then think about how you responded. I can tell you it happens all the time. And normally, it's really good. Have a nice day. So this is definitely something we should think more about. It's going to happen again. You know that you're going to move into the future, and there's somebody in the near future who's going to come up to you and say, how's business? So now you have this new choice. You could use, just as a rhetorical question, a question people ask that they really don't want an answer to, and they're not really interested in your answer. They just don't know what else to ask. It's a good point. I think most of the time it is a rhetorical question because they think they know what you're going to say. So you're at a party and they say, how's business? Oh, it's going well. Isn't it nice to know that I have somebody, that you have somebody that has time for you, your family, and your friends? Yes, pass me the ketchup. Well, that shows they weren't really interested. They just didn't know what else to ask, which I think you're gonna run into that a lot. So cool. Is this a moment to move into introduction, or are they asking rhetorically? Most of your business comes from casual conversation. You know what happens when you're at a cocktail party and somebody bumps into you and says, hey, how's business? Right? That's obviously rhetorical. They're not expecting, this to turn into anything other than, great, have a nice day. So it happens that way. But if you can get it into conversation, well, what do you know? It's going really well, and isn't it nice to know? That's called compliance. When you say, isn't it nice to know, it's nearly impossible for someone to disagree. That's why this guy is so smart. This book is so smart. The way he uses the words are really, really creative and well thought out, I think. So, isn't it nice to know that I have time for you and your family and your friends and anyone else and who could use my help right now? Every time you see a comma in a script, you could use the word and instead to get people into trance when you say, isn't it nice to know that I have time for you and your family and your friends and anyone else you know and like. Keep going. And people will keep dropping down lower after every and into a trance. And now you're talking to the unconscious mind. who could use my help right now, who would like to buy their first home right now. And I'm curious who you know who would love to take advantage of this marketplace. I love the word love. Love has such a high frequency to it. Who do you know who would love to get their home sold right now? So obviously, I think you guys get the gist of his talking points and of his methodology. But I think it's something that if we spend a little more time getting to know the more powerful and direct use of the words, man, I think it'll change your business. Change your business, change your life. All right, so this started on page 110. For those of you who are here, you can go back to the PDF version of this book, which you should all have. And at page 110, you can revisit this dialogue and begin to put it into memory and put it into practice. Obviously, you know, we are big proponents of and promoters of practice. You should practice, practice, practice. You should practice your scripts and your dialogues. You should practice your paperwork. You should practice your listings. You should practice your standard purchase agreements. And you know, even if you're writing on your own property or your neighbor's house, it doesn't matter. The idea is to become so familiar with the paperwork that someone doesn't trip you up, you know, when you're presenting the paperwork. And when someone says, how's the market? You already know how you would answer that question. And the only way you can get that comfortable is through practice. Questions? Okay. Thank you guys for another fantastic episode of Scripts, Dialogues, and Debates. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same channel.
Same bet time, same bet.